communities, even alongside the opportunity for tourism. Can you tell us briefly how you found that balance and able to enable Mongolia to stay true to itself? Please.
Your Excellencies, distinguished guests and dear friends, it's an honor to be participating in Ministerial Roundtable meeting in Tokyo especially. And Mongolia is one of the last nomadic country located between two giant countries, Russia and China. And so we have only two ways to transfer Mongolia by road or train and airplane. So last 10 years we are facing difficulties to increase our tourists through airplane route, and so luckily Parliament passed a law and this June opening our airspace for other international airlines. And as we all talk about sustainable tourism, and tourism is one of the good economic sector. I say very humanity business. Why? Every single money spent in tourism distribute all area of the community. It creates jobs, it creates business, even it creates a new business to grow and to upgrade their living standard in rural Mongolia. We are the 18th biggest land in the world, but we have only 3 million population. To keep in the sustainable tourism and to keep environment, to keep the road as long as we want to use, it means we need more investment in infrastructure. Our estimation in this year, we need to build 13,000 kilometer road and 70,000 railway road, and we need to upgrade 7 local airports as international. These all investments for future to keep the environment as nature and bring more tourists. Avoiding the recent tourism bad things, we need to educate our people and also our tourists how to respect the local customs, how to respect the geographical structure, how do we keep the nature and how do we keep the wild animal in a proper way. Another one, Mongolia has a museum. While you're seeing the dinosaurs bone, you will see wild rabbit, the wild animal and wild horse. Maybe if you're lucky, a wild wolf on the road. But your guide will be speaking English or foreign languages. But your car will be a modern car. These things will bring the tourists in the next few years in Mongolia more higher growth than this year, I think. Tourism is one of the healthy thing to live more longer people. In 50 years in the world, we have a 3 times higher population now. Everybody wants to live longer, they want to invest their health, their mental, and their happiness rate. That's why Mongolia is one of the good locations to visit. We have a blue sky, we call Mongolia blue sky country. We have a 240 days sunny and clear sky. And even you enjoy in daytime and also you enjoy in nighttime. You can see billion stars up front of your head. So we want to keep sustainable tourism in landlocked country in Mongolia. We need big support from international organizations to invest in tourism, to invest in environment. So I want to be one of the active members in international organizations, especially UN, WTO, and WTTC, maybe in near future in PATA and ACTA. And this is the great opportunity to meet you here, and we will keep our nomadic culture. We will also keep our sustainable development in tourism and environment. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. And I must say, I'm quite enjoying the transparency in the wish lists that are coming out of this conversation. So thank you very much for that. We've taken a national perspective. We've looked at it from the point of view of how do we ensure that we are indeed promoting sustainable tourism through community development. And Kyoke-san mentioned something very interesting about mega events and the power of mega events. And you've got the Olympics here coming up in 2020, and next year you've got the rugby players taking over the entire country. I would like to ask Tabata-san, because mega events offer a brilliant opportunity to get communities involved. And I was very blessed to be involved in the 2010 World Cup in South Africa. And we saw how it transformed the nation, even beyond the economics. How are you seeing, sir, the Rugby World Cup, which will be national, and the Olympics and Paralympics, which will be here in Tokyo, as specific vehicles to actually promote community development over and above simply the identity of sport in this country? Please.
ありがとうございます。日本語で喋らさせていただきます。まず多くの韓国大臣閣下、UNWTO 事務局長、WTT 理事長ほか多くの方々この場にお越しいただいて大変誇れる歓迎をいたします。非常に観光で地域創生をというテーマで多くの国の取り組みというものでディスカッションをさせていただいて大変有意義な場だと考えています。先ほど国土交通大臣からも冒頭ご挨拶もされました。我が国は観光先進国を目指して非常にインバウンドに力を入れております。政府の成長戦略の本当に大きな柱として進めています。おかげさまで昨年2869万人と、ここの本当に6、7年ぐらいでプラス2000万という数の方々が来ていただけるということで、また次の目標は2020年、4000万人という大きな目標に向けて進めているところであります。その中で我々としましては今後、日本のいい文化やあるいは自然あるいは食そういうようなところを多くの方々に知っていただきたいということで取り組みも進めていきたいと思っています。それが持続可能性な我が国にとっての観光かと思っています。先ほど小池都知事からお話あった私も住んでいて大好きな東京でありますが、ゲートウェイで当然東京にもたくさん来ていただいた後、ただ東京大阪とか通常の今までのゴールデンルートだけじゃなくて多くの日本には地方地域が大きないろいろな魅力のある観光シーンがたくさんあります。そこに多くの方々が行っていただくということが我が国にとっての地方創生でありますから、地方創生の切り札とも位置づけております。でございますので、各地域の関係者が広域的に連携して多くの方々が来訪し、またかつ長く滞在をして我々の国の多くの、地域の人たちとむしろコミュニケーションあるいはしていただいて、そういう滞在を長くしていただくこういう取り組みを非常に重視して今後取り組んでいきたいと考えております。ちょっと体験をいろいろして滞在をするというところについてちょっと日本人はなかなか増えてたと言われています。日本人が多く海外にアウトバンドで旅行した時も、多くの諸外国の方々はもっといろんな経験とか滞在とかそういうようなことを取り組まれると言いますけど、日本人の海外の行った時の旅行っていうのは非常に短時間でちょっと回ってくるような旅行が多いので、もともと苦手な国民なのかもしれません。ただそうではなく、そういういい体験滞在をしていただける魅力を日本人自身が多くの国内でもそういう魅力の磨き上げとか体験できる素材題材というものを一生懸命むしろ磨き上げていくと、こんなような取り組みが必要かなと思って今進めているところであります。多くの地域の方にも、多くの方々多くの国の方々から訪れていただくことを期待しまして、私ども取り組んでまいります。ありがとうございます。
very much, Sarah. It's interesting as well because of your mega events, you have reasons for people to stay longer and to come at non-traditional times of the year, which is fantastic. So technically speaking, ladies and gentlemen, we have covered the world in terms of our round table. We've covered all of our countries. We've seen the aspirations on making sure that communities are uplifted, societies are developed, and we do it in a way that balances culture and environment, identity, all of the things that are critical. But how do we do it? How do we actually make it work? And we're very blessed that we have 3 people in the room who have global perspectives on seeing where actually you can make the connection between the countries and what their aspirations are from the future. Now, Gloria is unique, and it's wonderful having her here because not only is she the president and CEO of the WTTC, so representing the government, I beg your pardon, the business side, she's also the former Minister of Tourism of Mexico. So if anyone has empathy for the challenges that government has with business, it's yourself. But when you look at it, for all of these aspirations, how do we get business involved so that they're actually a partner in investment, in engagement, in the long run, recognizing they have commercial interests now they need to fulfill? Please, ma'am.
Thank you, Anita, and thank you for the invitation for the WTTC. It's an honor to be here with this group of excellencies, and thank you for the host as well. As you mentioned, WTTC represents the global private sector. And we see, and it was discussed during my keynote, some of these challenges. And looking for solutions, our best interest is to make sure that the countries are successful, of course. And as you already mentioned as well, I have empathy because I was in somehow their shoes. So I would say, if I may, 5 quick things that we believe are important. Considering that every destination is unique, every destination has its own DNA, its own challenges, there are some things in common that are helping some destinations to move forward and overcome the challenges that we're facing. But the most important to help us with this sustainable tourism growth and sustainable tourism development, especially with the communities in the center. The first one and the most important, I would say, is what we call the PPC. In WTTC, we like to say we need to transition from the strong partnership of PPP to PPC. Yes, the private sector is nothing without the public sector, but at the same time, we need to have the community in the center. That engagement is key so that they can also see the benefit. If the community, they don't see the benefit, then you will see that they have problems, of course, the local residents, and then as well, we transfer those problems to the tourist. And we see an impact, especially in cities that is overcrowding today. We have analyzed multiple cases, and the most successful ones is what we have is PPC, that we empower the community. And Bhutan and Cambodia, several mentioned some interesting cases where they have done exactly that. Now, preparation is key. It's very easy to say, let's make sure that we plan long term. But the reality is, we know that that's very difficult, especially because governments are not long term. So that partnership helps you to be successful as well with the long term planning. Let me give you 2 examples. Our members, as I said, we represent all the industries. One of those industries is the cruise industry. The minister from Iceland mentioned they have 350,000 people and they receive 1 million visitors. And the same situation that we have seen for countries that have 40 million citizens and they receive 80 million visitors. The question is, how do you plan for that? If I tell you, for instance, that there's a town in Europe that in the center they have 1,000 people and someone totally isolated decided to approve to 8 different cruise lines to come and arrive their ships exactly the same day at the same time, Thursday 5 o'clock. So Thursday 5 o'clock, 8 ships came and there were like almost 10,000 people visiting a town of 1,000. And of course, the residents were going crazy because that was overwhelming. There was not a good experience for the residents, neither for the tourists. And that's when you ask, what happened with the planning? Good news is that we talked to the mayor, and now they spread the arrivals over the week, and they receive 1 ship per day. And that's part of the engaging with the community, this long-term planning. In that case, of course, the ships, you see them, they are very visual, and you say, well, they are creating the overcrowding because we have thousands and thousands of passengers. But when you put it in perspective, the cruise industry has 23 million passengers per year. 23 million compared to 4 billion passengers in planes. So it's a very small, tiny industry compared to the airlines, for instance. But yes, they get a lot of attention. But when you plan long-term, you're more successful. I'm very impressed with Japan. I say this morning, and I say it again, with Team Japan. Yesterday, I was in multiple meetings, and I hear exactly the same message. It was with the private sector, the government, very impressive, and the organizations. This is a wonderful start. I congratulate once again Japan for this initiative, and I have seen this also in several countries. But short-term is not the solution. Long-term is ideal. So I'm very happy to see this in Japan. Sometimes I don't see that. In cities that they are facing overcrowding, unfortunately, they have one plan for the government, one plan for the private sector, and the community is not part of any plan. And we have seen that multiple times. Planning is key, and long-term is crucial. The third one is use the technology. I mentioned that today. We, the private sector, encourage governments to use more technology. Here in Japan, you have it, with the robots welcoming tourists, translating in multiple languages. That's a wonderful use of the technology. I read about the first tour guide also that is operating here in Tokyo. What an amazing way to use the technology. VR, AR is also used here in Tokyo. We have seen in Amsterdam, for instance, with overcrowding, you download an application that tells you where are the lines, so that you know what museums they have no lines, and then you move people around, and they know exactly where your tourists are going. So the technology can help you to plan better and maximize the experience for both the local and of course, the tourists. The fourth one is what's going on here. And I congratulate the organizers, because sharing best practices is very important. We don't have to reinvent the wheel, as we say. It's wonderful to see this happening. And the fifth one that I would like to say, you need to build your fact base and update that as you build more product. Build new products is very important. It was mentioned already that a lot of the growth that we're going to see, 70% actually of the growth that is forecast is going to go to 20 countries, okay? And most likely to the same cities. So it needs to be clear, how do you plan to spread the benefit? The Minister from Thailand mentioned that. Let's use some communities. Enrique also mentioned that in the case of Mexico, the planning. So it's great to hear so many examples that have been mentioned here about developing more product so that you can spread that benefit, because at the end of the day, the more that diversified you are, the better that experience that you can offer. And you need to consider how many travelers do you want to receive. Do you want to receive 100, 40, 20? Make sure that those visitors are part of your plan for waste, for energy, for water, for infrastructure, for the public transportation, for everything, so that you don't have the issues that we see in some of the cities currently and unfortunately. At the end of the day, we believe tourism has to be good for everyone. There's an opportunity to create millions of more jobs, but in the communities, if they don't experience the benefit, that means that this is not being sustainable. So I'm glad to see so many wonderful examples, and thanks again for the invitation.
Thank you very much. And Gloria has given us a great summary, but also really emphasizing again that we need to keep talking about those benefits, and therefore why we must ensure that tourism is sustainable. Now, Mario, you're in a unique position in that you come from a part of the world where integration has worked brilliantly. If we look at ASEAN, for instance, if we see what the opportunities are for tourism, what is it in ASEAN that you believe has enabled public and private to work together, neighbors to work together when it comes to countries. Can you give us a brief sense of that and what we can learn from it to adopt into our own policies? Please.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. And Anita, thank you very much for the digital detox. I promise my phone has stayed there and I haven't even touched it for the last hour.
It explains why you've been shaking for the last hour.
Also because I haven't had any coffee today. But let me just, if you allow me, just read an extract from something I wrote when I first became CEO of PATA, and I'll explain afterwards. It's very short, just one sentence. A country's beauty is not defined by one famous location, but by its people and diversity in what it has to offer. Ticking the box of one historical site does not give us the full perspective and appreciation of a nation. And I'd like to put emphasis here on people and diversity of culture. You talk about public and private partnership, and there are many good examples around the world. And I'm saying it, I am a little bit biased because I do live in Thailand, but I must actually say that Thailand, with their campaign of the 12 hidden gems of Thailand, exemplifies what is actually required moving forward. I've listened carefully to everyone speak about the challenges they're facing. You know, I come from a technology background, from a corporate background. Very rarely you sit around a boardroom and talk about you've got too much growth. That's a rare problem to have. We're in a unique situation in the tourism industry where we see enormous potential and enormous growth every single day, which we face some challenges, but there are solutions out there. And Thailand is actually doing it, and many other destinations are doing it too. You need to spread the love. Spread it across the country, across the communities, the regions, even in some cases inside the city itself. There are neighborhoods and cities which are suffering, that are actually either poor or need assistance or have high level of crimes. You can transform these cities by creating art and different product to encourage people to go and visit these neighborhoods. What will happen overnight? Well, you start actually diverting some of the tourists in these areas, and new shops are actually starting to develop. Coffee places, restaurants. New communities are actually starting to thrive, craft shops and etc. Now expand this to states and provinces and regions and countries itself. And now the 40 million that you expect to receive, you can spread them across the country and see all the other communities benefiting from it. It relieves pressure in the cities, it relieves pressure on infrastructure and transport, waste management, which Gloria mentioned before, and create new opportunities for people outside of these regions or outside of these overcrowded areas at the moment. There's technology that can be used as well. I've seen in places where technology is used as a mechanism to divert people during certain times of the day by creating animated buildings. Tokyo is doing it with lights, the Digital Art Museum, which I look forward to visit, but many other aspects of it, or even creating environments which are interactive with people walking in the street. And you're kind of diverting them into new places that you never had explored before. I was in Seoul just a few days ago, and the mayor explained some of the new product they actually develop inside their cities. You're reusing some infrastructure that were sitting there dormant and not looking so good, transforming them into beautiful pathways across the cities. We're transforming an old oil tank into a park where people can go and enjoy and interact with art in the center of the place, art which is done by local people. So I think there's so much opportunities for us to manage this growth, and the word manage is really key here. We need to manage the capacity, we need to manage this growth moving forward, because the growth is not going to stop. Our forecast, the same as UNWTO and WTTC, are all saying the same thing. We're going to continue to see this growth for at least another decade, if not even more. So let's think about how we're going to manage this growth over the next few years. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I must say I enjoyed the fact that in Mario's sharing, he gave the lovely example of Seoul as a city taking the E out of Seoul and actually finding a soul in what it is itself. So thank you very much for that. Now, our devil's advocate at the table, though he didn't know that he is. Shannon represents an organization which is about people actually choosing the path less traveled. However, sir, I understand from my little guardian angel who whispered something in my ear that you're becoming quite conscious and cautious of where adventure travel is going, and if it actually should. Please, can you share, can you confess?
Well, thank you, Nita. And I've never been introduced as devil's advocate before, but I kind of like it. Thank you.
It's better than a mini-me, I must admit.
Distinguished colleagues and most excellent Japanese hosts, thank you for having us all here today. It's really been incredible. A lot of amazing ideas have already been given at the table. I'm in agreement with most of them, so I'm your advocate too. And a lot of good ideas will come from further conversations later, I'm sure. I'll give you our perspective from the adventure travel industry today. We represent around 1,400 organizations, around 800 tour operators, around 100 governments that have chosen to invest in and get to know and promote and develop adventure travel. So that's where I'm going to go from today. I'm going to start with a football reference, not American football, but football. And when I think about tourism and the way that we as an industry have looked at it for many years, we've played a lot of offense. That's been our default, is offense. Let's get more people in, more numbers. Now we're seeing some people play defense. We're seeing Barcelona, Venice starting to play defense. And neither way is right or wrong necessarily, but I'm thinking that, and I heard it multiple times today, the way forward is a third way, and it's going to be very difficult. It's going to be trying to get these three things. What I hear is that we want to be sustainable, that we want to have community development, and we want growth. And somehow I imagine a wise man sitting on the top of a hill saying, you can have two of those three. Choose the two you want, but you can't have all three. Which I don't think is necessarily the case, but I think that doing tourism sustainably, developing communities well, and growing is very hard to do well, and it's very easy to do badly. It's difficult. There's no one template. The challenges of balloon tourism in Myanmar compared to to dive tourism in Australia, they have very different challenges, but some similar themes. It's hard to scale it. It's very unique. And I think the long view is critical, and I agree with Gloria on the difficulty sometimes when governments change out. It's very hard to have a long view. This is why I think anyone in this space should really be engaged with both business and government, because sometimes when government does change, business goes on. And so, but I'm going to come back to that as an idea for how we can all work together. So I think adventure travel can serve as a model. It's not perfect. We have our own flaws, but I think it's an interesting model because the way that we define adventure travel is not by adrenaline or risk or amount of medication required after taking an adventure trip. It's defined, and this is by the customer, as nature, culture, and activity. And I heard everyone in the room say that today in different forms. It's about diving into those experiences. So it can be extreme or it can be quite accessible. So adventure, while the world tourism growth has been 5 to 7% for many years, year over year, adventure since 2012 has grown at roughly 20% year over year. It's significantly growing. At the beginning of this, when we learned about this data, we were excited. Now we're more cautious, to be honest. One of the most exciting numbers is we've done research on how much of the revenue stays in the destination. And it's around 65% on average. And it makes sense because the adventure tourist is staying in local hotels, using local tour guides, they want to eat local, they're buying local arts and crafts, they're taking classes, they take home music. So the money stays, a lot of it stays. So it makes sense. In the era of AI, automation, robotics, job loss, if you've not listened to Elon Musk's future predictions of job loss, it's terrifying. I think our industry can be one of the few that will be job creation. And it's specifically because you can't automate everything. So, adventure travel also, and what I hear you talking about too, it allows you to work with the assets you already have. Adventure travel, ecotourism, all of our first cousins, nature tourism, wildlife, these are all types of tourism that don't need you to do a lot of development. You can use what's already existing. The customer is excited about that. So I'll finish with a specific action that we're going to be taking soon to address one of the challenges of over-tourism. We're working with Peru, so I have permission to share this, and we're working on a specific program to show Peru to a select set of buyers and media. Guess where we're not going? Machu Picchu. Now Machu Picchu is the pillar of Peruvian tourism, and with the Peru government we all decided together, let's not go to Machu Picchu. It's full. People are pouring out the seams. And then the grander effort, and I'll end with this, our friend Tim Martin, who was the Canadian ambassador to numerous countries around the world, spoke at one of our events a couple of years ago, and he talked about his involvement in eliminating conflict diamonds from the economy of diamonds, the Kimberley process. And he described the magic triangle. And the reason he gave it as an example is he said any really big, difficult, multi-industry problem that needs to be solved is going to take the magic triangle of government, NGO, and business. And I think with tourism, we have a fourth point, and that's the traveler. So NGOs, we need you to shine light on us and on our businesses and on our practices. Governments, we need you to have policies to protect and also to support those little guys. If we want to do community tourism, it's going to take helping those very fragile businesses. Business, we need to all demand that we do better, that our supply chains do better, that we get more sustainable, and be able to measure against that. And then the traveler, my dream is that we change the mindset of it's my right to travel to it's my privilege to visit you in your home. It's my opportunity. I'm very lucky to come and see you where you live and to see how you worship and eat and enjoy life. So that's those are my 2 cents as your devil's advocate. Thank you, Anita.
Thank you very much, Shannon. Thank you. And you pulled it together really well. As we pull it together, and I can see my guardian angel in the back about to smack me with his wing because he says that I've got 3 minutes left, and I'm not a person for math. So I want to hear all of your voices one last time, but we're going to do it really quickly. I'm going to give you all 5 seconds each and 1 word. 5 seconds, 1 word. And I want you, please, to answer the question of this. Sustainable tourism for community development requires X. The trick is, you can't repeat a word. So Mario can't say, I like what Gloria said, I'm going with that. So, having picked on you, Mario, and you're usually my victim. Sustainable, and everybody again, 5 seconds. 5 seconds, starting now. Sustainable tourism for community development requires?
Management.
Gloria.
Collaboration.
Kyoki-san.
Awareness of people.
Excellent. Shannon.
Integrity.
Sir.
Good communication.
Sir. Sir. Madam.
Political will.
Sir. That's a hyphenated. That was hyphenated. Sir.
Education.
Sir. Sir.
Friendship.
Sir.
Inclusion.
Sir.
Strong policy.
Sir.
Whatever was said here, I really am running out of words now.
I must say, I like the two of you. You're like on a game show. You're ready to hit the microphone. Sir.
Speed.
Madam.
Buy-in.
Sir.
Equitable sharing.
And of course, I'm giving the woman the last word.
Engagement.
Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, please thank our ministerial panel. I'll now hand over to Mr. Zhu to somehow summarize this in more than 1 word.
And thank you, Anita. You give me 1 minute, so I know I already cut 50% of my closing.
I gave you 20 words.
Okay. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we really had a wonderful discussion this afternoon. And thank you very much for participating in such a ministerial roundtable. And today we had about almost 20 ministers, secretaries, also people from international organizations. So really enjoyed. Thank you very much. And also, of course, all panelists shared their experiences and the sustainable tourism strategy focused on community development. So developing sustainability in local and regional tourism operation is an important issue. Sustainable tourism for community development needs the close collaboration for all players in tourism. Today, we learned that sustainable development plans are already being implemented. Those measures also need good management. Governments and tourism administrations must always concentrate on local communities into account. So this meeting has been very successful. We believe this ministerial roundtable should continue to be the priority for our next meeting, also for our collaborations. We look forward to your continuous support and participation next year at the Expo in Osaka. Thank you again for your coming and contributing today. Best wishes to all of you and successful Expo. Thank you.
Are you flapping your wing again?
Honorable ministers and ladies and gentlemen, do allow me to close this great session. Before that, please big hands to Anita. Welcome to Japan. Please enjoy your big stay in Tokyo. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And thank you very much, Anita. It was great. Now we are going to have a photo shoot. So I ask everyone to move a little bit to the back of this room because we are going to move all the desks and chairs for the photo session. So please move to the back of this room a little bit and make a room over here to have a photo shoot. Thank you very much for your cooperation.となりますが、準備が整い次第始めさせていただきますので、プレスの皆様、撮影のご準備をお願いいたします。As we done the preparation for the photo session, we are going to start the photo shoot. So please wait for a moment. Thank you for your cooperation. また、ただいまからご退出される皆様、恐れ入りますが、お使いになられました同時通訳レシーバーがお席に置いてご退出いただきますようご協力をお願いいたします。For those of you who are leaving this room, please leave your simultaneous receiver on your seat. Please leave your simultaneous receiver on your seat when you exit. Thank you very much for your cooperation.
はい。あ、撮影ですか。はい、大丈夫です。撮影は大丈夫だけど、体が大丈夫なので。はい。
Now we have prepared a place for the photo shoot, so please have your seat or stand behind the seat for the photo session. Thank you for your cooperation. プレスの皆様、まもなく準備整いますので、撮影のご準備の方よろしくお願いいたします。またお時間が大変押しておりますので、フォトシュートのお時間こちらで切らせていただきますので、どうぞご了承いただきますようよろしくお願いいたします。Okay, would you move to the left side a little bit? Thank you very much. Thank you very much.